Hi, everybody. I'm Robin Quivers, sitting in for Joy. A topless photo, Craigslist, and a married congressman. Those are the ingredients for the latest Washington scandal. New York Republican Christopher Lee resigned yesterday after a woman claimed the lawmaker sent her a topless photo via Craigslist of himself showing his face. Here now with me are guest Steve Karnacki. He's a political editor and columnist for Salon.com. Stephanie Miller, who is the host of The Stephanie Miller Show, and Jeff Gardier, a clinical psychologist. Steve, so tell us, how did all of this come out?
Well, apparently the congressman was, in Washington, D.C., and he was on Craigslist in the men seeking women, classified section, and he replied to an ad. Started talking to this woman who he'd never met before, 34 years old, told her that he was 39, he's actually 46, told her that he's divorced, he's actually married, and then she said, can you send a picture? And he sent this infamous now, shirtless picture of himself.
Also told her he wasn't a toad, but go on.
And he also to cover his identity, claimed that he was a lobbyist instead of a member of Congress. But he used his real name, Chris Lee, on this email address. And sent this picture to somebody he'd never met. So she, recognized the name or Google searched it or whatever, put two and two together, stopped contacting him, and then went to this website, Gawker, which came out with a story, and then 2.5 hours later, probably the quickest resignation ever, he's an ex-congressman.
It's pretty amazing to me how everybody knows now how to contact someone in the media. So this woman, she does all of her research, which is, incredible in the first place. And then she goes to Gawker and she says, look, I've got a story for you. So we've all basically become reporters. Right. And these Congress people have to know that now you're not talking to a private citizen, you're talking to a possible reporter.
And it's amazing, isn't it? They never learn from each other's mistakes. I mean, this is just so obvious that when you play with fire like this, you're going to get burned, and this guy just didn't heed that at all.
Well, that's what it is. It's the absolute failure to even attempt to cover this up. He used his real name and his real picture, and he never met her before.
Yeah, and Stephanie, what are these guys thinking? Like you said, we've seen it over and over again. What are they thinking? Or are they not thinking? How does this happen?
Well, Robin, first of all, why do guys get the idea that we want to see them with no shirts on? It could have been worse. It could have been a shirtless Governor Chris Christie. I grant you that. But, I mean, it really is incredible. It was like Larry Craig handed the cop in the bathroom his card and said, I'm a senator. What do you think of that? And I'm thinking, well, I think there's going to be a lot of unfortunate publicity. That's what I think of that.
Yes, absolutely. So let me read you what he reportedly sent the woman. Hope I'm not a toad. I'm a very fit, fun, classy guy, 6 feet, 190 pounds, blonde blue, 39, lobbyist. I promise not to disappoint. FYI, he also told her he was divorced. So why on earth does he use his own likeness? What is he doing?
I think part of that, of course, is a very suicidal behavior as far as his career, as far as his social life, as far as his family life. And I think a lot of that, when we look at it from a psychological point of view, Robin, is someone who perhaps is playing a Russian roulette with their lives, with their careers. In some ways, they want to be punished. They want to be caught. The ones who legislate morality, the ones who talk about it, and he talked about how to be safe on the internet because people are trolling the internet. Well, that's exactly what he did.
But isn't that a little crazy?
It is very crazy because I think in many ways, this is how we want to atone for our sins. We know that we're doing something that's very wrong, and at the end of the day, we want to get caught, and that's why people do such obvious things. The fact is, if he really wanted to be a regular man pig, he could have done it, gotten away with it, but he did it in a way so that eventually he could get caught, and that's part of that thrill-seeking that feeds maybe some sort of anxiety, depression, or maybe a very discordant marriage that he may have.
Well, he was warned before, Steve, right? Wasn't he called in with a bunch of other people by...
Right, John Boehner, the Speaker of the House, the top Republican in the House, had some concerns about, reports or rumors that certain Republican members might be, kind of keeping company with women who were, girlfriends or whatever, and he was one of them, so there was some concern. I would just say there's been a lot of talk, in relation to this, that this is an example of hypocrisy, that this is one of these guys who preached one thing and it was doing something different. I really don't see that here. What I really see is a guy who was, let's remember, this guy did not have a history in politics until 3 years ago. He was a successful businessman. He didn't have anything to do with politics. He ran for office. He happened to win. He's a backbench member from Congress whose name nobody really would have known until 2 or 3 years ago. And even then, you know, in Washington, D.C., this guy was not really high profile. So I think he's probably just sort of living his life like he was before. You could say this is dysfunctional and all of that.
I don't know. I would have to disagree. I think it's so stupid what he did. It's got to be pathological.
Stupid, but
let Stephanie get in here for a second.
He is a conservative Republican, Robin, and he is for don't ask, don't tell, you know, which I guess is understandable since his, you know, personal policy in his house is don't ask, don't tell your wife what you're doing on Craigslist. Right. But, I mean, you know, he's the bottom line, Robin, he's too stupid to be in Congress. I mean, seriously, how do you not know? You know, there's Google these days. Remember in the 70s, we just dated serial killers, and we didn't know because there was no Google. But it, like you were saying, it takes 2 seconds to Google someone and find out who they are, right?
And is it the new technology? Are all of these people getting into trouble because of increased access?
Absolutely. And part of that, though, knowing what's out there, they have an impulse control problem. For you to not be able to regulate your behavior enough so that you can cheat in a way that's smart versus a way that's really stupid and suicidal, again, is part of an impulse control problem, part of a pathology, part of someone who really, this guy really needs a shrink.
I have a question. Is there a guy who just wants to have a little conversation with a woman? Or do you think he probably made some hookups doing this before?
It might be just the tip of the iceberg, and why perhaps, and I don't know, I'm not a journalist, why he may have resigned so quickly, because there may be more political fallout. But I feel very badly for him. I know we're joking about him. I feel bad for him, but I feel worse for his wife, for his family, who now have to deal with these issues. And my advice to him, my love prescription to him is, man, go out and get yourself some therapy and try to figure out why you went down in flames the way that you did. You could have done it better.
Is the point of psychology to help you cheat smarter? Is that what your point is here?
It's to help you address, Stephanie, you know, what you did that destroyed your family. And that's a serious thing.
Yeah. Well, but you know this is the tip of the iceberg. If he resigned this quickly, I mean, you know, Robin, there's got to be somewhere he's on, you know, men seeking women that want to do it with, you know, scuba gear and schnauzers. There's some freaky stuff out there. You've got to know that this is the tip of the iceberg.
But is this sort of like that powerful man syndrome? Because we have lawmaker after lawmaker in, you know, both local and federal politics falling to scandals like that.
I think when you have someone who may have some underlying psychological issues, but they also have a huge ego to go along with it, then they feel indestructible, and it may explain why they're playing Russian roulette in the way that they do their social business, their romantic business. And there's something very interesting also going on here. The woman that he was communicating with was a woman of Irish black descent. So there may be some other things going on as to what the freaky deaky is that he's looking for on the side. That's a Freudian term, isn't it?
Oh, freaky deaky. And he's going to pull out all those medical terms on us. Thanks, guys. We'll be right back after this short break.